look at a calendar, look at a blank piece of paper and say how much time.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Law of Attraction podcast. So honored to be in New York today, somewhere very cool, with a fabulous guest. Somebody that I've been great friends with for a while. He is the creative economist. I said that right. That's what I've heard your nickname as. Number one creative economist in the world, you guys, is on the show today. You're going to be learning all about podcasts from an Emmy-award winning TV producer. He is a media consultant. He is somebody who has rocked my world for the last couple of years knowing him. He is somebody who's respected by so many big names, the creator of major shows. You're going to find out as you watch today's show. You're going to learn in today's episode how to have an amazing podcast, how to be an amazing guest on a podcast, how to become a guest on a podcast, how to create content that is going to stick around for years and leave a legacy, how to inspire more people and create community. Welcome to the show, Vinnie Potestivo.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. You know, it's so funny. We were just saying before we began, you know, at Thanksgiving, what were you saying?
Oh my gosh. Well, think about podcasting. Right? When you come, or Thanksgiving, when you come to Thanksgiving, would you rather be the host or the guest? Who do you think has more fun at the party? Maybe you love preparing and the idea, the intentionality of the event and the research and making sure everything falls into place and the event works out well. That's like the equivalent to hosting a podcast. When you guest a podcast, though, you get to show up as a gracious guest. First off, you show up with a gift of gratitude. So I want to make sure as you're showing up for podcast guesting, you're showing up with a gift of gratitude, but also think of the generosity of the table you're sitting at. That, you know, as a guest, you guys make the content. You own the content. And we have this innate trust that this is going to be the best holiday ever. And I kind of show up to every podcast the same way.
I love that. Oh, it's like my thing. Yeah, the welcome. I'm so happy you're here. This is amazing. And you are. Let's eat.
Yeah.
Let's eat.
Manja.
Oh my gosh. So manja. We both have two of our countries that we're from in common.
Yes.
Italian and Greek.
Yes.
I was blown away, but I knew when I met you, I was like, we have a lot in common. I was like, and I know it's where we're from. Like, it's so obvious. You know, I was like, this is obviously where we're from. It's like, it's screaming at it. I love it. Okay, there's so many things that you have inspired me. This is a really good friend of mine, you guys. This is somebody who I was excited to bring on because he, I believe, is paving the way at the moment for a new angle with podcasting. You're bringing together so many people. Collaboration is a big word that you use. You're really enabling everyone to be able to host their own show and have their own empire, have their own, zone. Let's dive into that.
I'm like the inspiration enabler. I'll take it. What? All right, I'll take that. Like I'm going to enable anything. You know, I think the reason why I'm passionate about collaborating now is because both parties can own it. To be blunt, 20 years ago when I started TV, the network owned it. The network published it. The network had final say. Even if it was two parties, creative parties that came together to collaborate something. And I think that was so powerful right now is the fact that we can create content and have that be intellectual property that we own. That's not something in America that has happened until the creator economy existed. And, I got to say this about the creator economy. If anyone doesn't know what the creator economy is, here's my New York perspective on it.
This is why you are the number one creator economist.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you. It's very important. The economy around creators has been important for me since the late 90s when I got to MTV and helped modern storytellers figure out how to tell their lives in 30-minute increments in reality TV. Wow. and on and on. But the fact that we own it, the fact that that it's on and forever, and there's nothing more valuable that we can be creating. There's nothing more that unites us than our audience, and there's nothing that gives us more strength than combining audiences, which when you combine two audiences, that's community. Yes. Like if there's a math equation For community, it's audience plus audience plus audience plus audience plus, Beyonce having a tour builds Beyonce fans at a Beyonce concert. When Beyonce's at Coachella with 50 other artists, that's a moment for community. And podcasters, if we don't get this right, I'm not saying, reality TV, went wrong. I didn't think reality TV was going to take the left turns and the right turns that it took ultimately. What I loved about reality TV was the opportunity to show you what it was like in a world that where the facts don't change, but the truths do, and to let you walk in someone else's shoe. I thought that was really important in the late 90s. But now it's about action. And now that we can own our content, we can write our own books and not have to get a publisher's approval or someone to edit it because it doesn't work with the advertisers that support that network. We have so much more power over our voice. And I'm inspired by that. We're building billionaire creatives. You know what I mean? We've never had that freedom to create and have ownership over it. It's so powerful.
Such an amazing time that we're in. And you host these amazing rooms on LinkedIn, don't you? And every week. And I'm excited because you guys will have heard of me in one of Vinnie's recently. And it was so fun. But tell us more about that.
Yeah, I'm excited about what's happening on LinkedIn. I feel creators stand out right now on LinkedIn. We're exotic, especially if we identify.
Well, like that, exotic.
We are exotic.
I should so go on there. I'm like Miss Exotic.
But you think about how you, as a filter for creativity, or a prism, even better, less of a filter, right? More of a prism for creativity. When a brand hits that prism and it hits the Natasha prism, I mean, that's inclusivity, that's sustainability, that is authenticity at truly at its finest, and how we build relationships with these brands now will impact the future of the creator economy. But our stories have never been more powerful. I got to work in the late 90s at MTV with the Osbournes and Newlyweds, and when Ashton Kutcher wanted to have a hit reality show. It wasn't about having a show. Anyway, he was already on it. He was already on a hit show. That 70s show. Like, the last thing he needed to be was accidentally mistaken as like an MTV VJ. There was like sensitivity around the idea that someone like Ashton, a huge film star, would need to be on MTV. But what we got to do in the beginning part of the creator economy is enable, empower, and inspire someone like Ashton to not just create a show, but prove to the media economy that he could create a show that would have impact and that he had his finger on the pulse. And that launched his production company. And then his mobileness sort of like blew up afterwards. That was like where he had financial stake and claim in something creative.
So beautiful. And on that note, okay, you are the answer to, you're the reason that so many of these huge shows came about. The Osbournes. I'm going to forget all the names. There's actually so many.
There's fun. Ashley Simpson, everyone. The fun ones. Ashley Simpson,
Newlyweds, that was it.
Housewives of New Jersey afterwards.
Okay,
it gets
all these.
It gets weirder.
when you created all of these and you enabled all these people, how did it feel like coming up with these ideas and getting it out there in the world?
Oh, the heard. I felt heard. I had nothing to do with. Sharon had a vision, didn't quite know what the vision was, but knew that MTV was the place to do it. Maybe it was because of Ozzy's connection to music, but to be honest, back then, VH1 probably would have been the more likely network, because back then, right, VH1 was kind of like for your older brother or sister, and MTV was like the young, cool network. But it was my boss, Rod Asa, and a group of executives who said, well, first off, they got him on Crips. So to be very clear, the show was pitched and no was given the answer. I just listened to your Ja Rule podcast where he literally sat here and said, Jay-Z was passed. You say DMX, Dre was passed on. There's like greatness that slips through the cracks. And at MTV, sometimes that happens. So sometimes at MTV, but what Sharon saw was the opportunity to change the world's perception of her as a mom, of her as a momager. Also, she wanted to be seen as someone who was responsible for both her husband and her children.
Wow.
And And then someone in the room, they got booked on Cribs, so MTV passed. Then we figured out a way to get them on Cribs. That show did really well with Kelly and Jack. So sometimes you need a little tape to prove it. And then someone came up with the idea of Newlyweds, of the Osbournes meets Real World. And so that was sort of born. There were production companies back in the 90s asking there were some pitching us shows, but like we were outbound phone call. I was cold calling artists saying, hey, we got 30-minute opportunity to come on by and instead of just having a 3-minute video and a countdown, host it for us. And
wow.
so it was cool to be at MTV where the modern creator had to pass through MTV because as a television network, we had youth culture. So I take that as like amazing, impeccable, universal timing to work in television where I don't think it's ever had more impact, for better or for worse. It made ripples, and it gave us so many ways to communicate and connect with each other.
So true. Hey, my name is Natasha Graziano. I would love to invite you to my book club, which is hosted every week live on Zoom with me and loads of VIP coaches that we bring in every time for you. VIP coaches like John Assaraf from The Secret, Michael Beckwith from The Secret, and some of my A-list stars and Selling Sunset girls that you may know of. I can't wait to get to know you. I can't wait to help you unlock the code to the law of attraction, unlock the code to abundance, unlock the code to what you truly want in your life. You see, it's just literally a switch. Once I learned to turn it on, my life changed dramatically. I went from a girl who had nothing in the bank account, hundreds of thousands in debt. I was a girl who was kind of trapped in her own mind. I guess I thought life was as it was, and it would never get any better, and money would never come into my life. And then I turned on the code to the law of attraction, understanding the neuroscience behind it, understanding the ancient wisdom behind it, and my life changed dramatically. And here I am now showing you how you too can transform your life. When you come, you'll be around other successful entrepreneurs, other people who are also wanting to better their life. I can't wait to show you how you too can better your life. Come and join us. It's all available inside of the app. Click the link below and I'll see you there.
TB has definitely paved the way. And, of course, now it's into streaming and podcasting. And you have created this platform now where you with everything you do in the podcasting world, which we want to hear about. Yes. Because somebody listening today, the most asked questions that we get about podcasting are, how do I set up a podcast? What do I do when I get it? Where do I distribute it? All of this stuff. And how do I get views on it? So can we unpack those topics?
Yeah, absolutely. The short answer is
he leaves it.
The short global answer to that is in time. How about that? How about with all of those questions that just started to almost put me through a creative spiral? How easy it is for us to get overwhelmed in our own minds and creativity with possibility. I'm drawn to want to look at a calendar, look at a blank piece of paper and say, how much time? How much time
Beautiful.
Do you want to see impact in a month? How much time do we want to see have an impact in 3 months? And that will help you. That will help you create all of that, right?
Okay. So if somebody's starting today, where do they want to distribute it? How do they know if they're going to use Anchor or whether they're going to use just Apple? Where are they putting it?
Yeah. So the way podcasts work, you have an audio file that goes on a server and then it's connected to directories. There are some platforms like Anchor, for example, that are similar in terms of content ownership to Instagram, perhaps, where Instagram has some rights to your content. They got a couple of rights to your content. It's not just yours if you post it on Instagram. You release some rights there. So Anchor happens to be one of those platforms where they get some additional rights. I prefer Podbean strictly because it's kind of like the 2% milk of podcasters. Like there's nothing extra in it, and it's really pure and clean, and it keeps all of the rights to the podcaster. I think that's a really important, again, as they talk about intellectual property, for us to understand the ownership of the IP part. But as we're creating this content, I have to point out, I talk about galactic things. I'm thinking of a comet, and the thing that a comet does that's beautiful in the sky is it's visible, right? Yeah. So there's visibility when you see the comet, but what makes the comet discoverable is when we take a photo of it. When NASA takes a photo of it, when everyone sees that the breaking into the universe and we're the global component to it. And I realized that visibility without that act of sharing does not lead to discoverability. Like discoverability needs that act of sharing to be successful. I think exposure without sharing is education, which is okay. Let's sit down and learn, and then homework afterwards. So you're focused on content, or entertainment, which is where I get passionate about from a podcasting perspective, because if it's just entertainment, the true goal is to get the eyeballs on ads.
Yeah.
And that's where entertainment for me in the public sector of TV is tough to swallow and tough to digest. And I think that's where the future of podcasting, narrowcasting, will not only fix the broadcast market, but will save those large televisions that we have on our wall, right? You close your eyes, you don't need to watch a podcast on TV and know what's on that TV. You could listen and not be in the room and hear, and experience that with your entire family. So I'm looking forward to that moment where podcast meets broadcast.
Wow, I love it. Well, you are pioneering the way for so many with that.
We're all part of it. That's the thing. I just want to make sure that, and I want to make sure as early creators that you know how to win awards.
Yes.
So I have
oh my God, this is so cool. Okay, wait, guys, if you are a podcaster, you're somebody who loves doing what you do, you're a creator, what Vinny's about to say has been amazing for me. Oh my God, I love that. I don't know if I won that award.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
Take notes on that, Ash. We have to talk about that after.
Well, that's the thing. There are awards that we didn't even know we qualified for. So I can't even imagine the awards that are out there. If you have an email list, if you have a podcast, a website, if you think of marketing strategy, here's one that I love. If you stack multiple websites together to create a specific outcome, there's actually an award called the Stackies.
Oh my God. Okay, how do they apply for these awards?
So most awards have a cycle. If you come to my creator hub at vpe.tv, it's a free creator hub for any creator.
Is that yours?
That's mine. Exclusively
mine. I'm going to put that link below. So this is how you're going to find out via Vinny's content.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my creator hub is, I'm so excited about what we put in here. 99 plus awards worthy of winning, 60 creator influencer marketing platforms that are paying podcasters and creators like us, to be honest, on the high end and on the emerging end of influence, ways to get your podcast on IMDb. The power of your podcast as intellectual property being in the same catalog on the Internet Movie Database, right next to E.T. and Titanic and all my favorite movies. And as executive producers of a podcast, we get EP credit and host our guest. It's an amazing opportunity for discoverability. So it is the creator economy. And we are exotic on LinkedIn. And the way that creators are exotic on LinkedIn, I like to think that business experts, CEOs, SMB owners, and entrepreneurs that are already successful in LinkedIn could shine on IMDb. Because IMDb.com, the Internet Movie Database, to me, is sort of like the creator version of LinkedIn. So if creators are exotic in LinkedIn, then us business folk are exotic on IMDb, and that's where the TV networks are looking for experts like us.
Yeah,
it's great to get under their nose.
I love it. I went on a show recently. It was on IMDb. It was so cool. It's really nice to have that. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna turn the train right now, and we are gonna go down a route on something that blows my mind. So I created, as you guys know, the 5 pillars, 5 steps to manifesting your goals.
Yeah.
And they are: 1, getting clarity of your vision. Number 2, removing the self-limiting beliefs, the doubts, the blockages. Number 3, replacing the old self-limiting belief with a new belief about yourself. Pillar 4, expand your vision. And pillar 5, take inspired action. And you have created from these 5 pillars.
Yeah.
You have been inspired to create your own. Tell us about them.
Oh, I love. By the way, I'm here. I am with all this information and experience in my head, trying to figure out how to make sense of it all. And when I saw your 5 steps, your 5 pillars, everything about that process rang true to me. Clarity. I can't tell you how many people come into my office at MTV now asking for something, and I sit there and I go, "Do you really just want to be a TV host? You don't want to have like your own company, your own product, and maybe be asked by TV shows to come on as a guest host, but appear as yourself?" Do you don't think that that's like really what you're looking, genie in a bottle, you know, like you have these goals that are not quite clear yet. Be careful what you ask for in this industry, because people will give you a version of their interpretation. Maybe no harm done, but no malintent, not intentional. But clarity is so important in that step.
I agree.
I think the next thing for me that really rang true was how strategy before tactics, before figuring out how to step next, to step back and really clear those blockages and get really, really strategic about what happens next.
Yes,
right.
Like your ability.
Our global, universal view of it, the largest bird's eye view you can get, and then step 3, get microscopic, small tactics. And this is where I realized in this book right here, Be It Until You Become It, I like to say in tactics is the time where we do inventory. So tactics are about how do we execute our strategy. For me, it's always who, not how. Never about what microphone do I need or what camera do I need to shoot it. Who do I need in my crew, in my life, in my world to make this successful? And you have something amazing in this book that helps people understand the 5 people in their life that they might want to surround themselves with based on the people who already exist and based on the true values and goals, I should say, of your core values. That speaks tremendous volumes.
Absolutely. Oh, we can dive in on that. I mean, you know, the people that you have around you, the 5 people, it is an average of who you are.
Yeah.
So if you are surrounding yourself with geniuses, let's say you have 5 geniuses in the room, you're going to solve the problem. If you've got 5 delinquents in the room, you are going to lower your average. You know, do you want to surround yourself with success or failure? Now, I'm not saying that you're going to have a win-win-win-win-win the whole way, because we don't. We fall. We fail. Those are a part of winning. Those are a part of success. When we fail is when we know, okay, I need to get back up. Those of you who don't get back up, you just didn't want it enough. Maybe it wasn't the time for you. Maybe it wasn't, you know, when I look at stars, other stars around me, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? When I meet these incredible musicians and artists and people who've put a lot in, yeah, they've gotten through it every single time to get there. And there are so many people who are just as talented as them, if not more in so many ways, but they haven't got there because they gave up. They gave up too soon.
Yeah.
And I love how you are explaining to people how they can create and pave their own way and not to give up and to believe. So this leads us on to your next one, which is tactics inventory.
Yeah, inventory, right? Make sure you've got the right team around you. I think the thing I learned most from your podcast with Ja, just to reply back to one of those podcasts I heard of yours, was how important that team is. When you find the right team, you can trust. You look, technology is going to change. Laws are going to change. What can happen, the possibility of what's going to happen can change. If your team is tight, and maybe this is talent development speaking here too, if you know what your core goals are and how you can show up in the world, the rest is just with what tool? You know, can I build a house with a toothpick or a hammer? Sure. Both ways are possible, and I'm capable. It's a weird analogy, but both, it's just a different process with different shows, different audiences. And I think that that's important for us to have the grace as creators, as humans, to realize that we're far greater. I mean, the thing for me is like we're far greater than we realize.
Totally.
Self-sabotage is like, I don't like talking about it, but self-sabotage is the thing that creeps in most of the time in the beginning part of a creator's journey. That's why I like showing people how to win awards. I like showing people how to get and give credit on IMDb, because that's something you can do every single year. Every quarter, every month, there's a different type of award. And these are not something I'm saying are destinations, but just part of the journey.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love that. It's all about the journey.
Yeah.
And I really lean into that. I think that the journey is the joy.
Yeah. So the journey is the joy, and we got to right people. The last 2 steps are production and what I call pre-purposement. Too many people are focused on repurposing content. Oh, as if it's an afterthought that we have to advertise or promote our content or market our content. If we are mindful of the way we want to promote and create that energy around our content, and we use it as the core piece of content, that's pre-purposement. We're pre-purposing content. I'm building something with the intentionality of it being part of the core piece of content. not afterwards, not in marketing, not letting money or AI fix that part of it. I make sure I'm intentional in coming in.
God, I love it.
My last step. Ready? It's the same as yours. Take inspired action.
Yes.
That's it.
2 high fives in one show. Winning.
Take inspired action. No one wants to watch your content if it's not fun to make. Could it be paid? Could you do things to make it better? Sure, but that's not sustainable, to be honest. You got to have fun. You have to be mindful, and you have to be so intentional with the content you're creating now. So take inspired action.
Okay, so now you know your 5 steps. Write them down, learn them. If you're into podcasting, if you're into content creation, if you're into sharing and award winning. I mean, who's not into award winning? Go down and find out what award you are potentially capable of winning. Your new book, Pod Match, Guest Mastery, a guide to getting booked on successful podcasts and sharing your message by learning from top Podmatch guest members. So exciting. You are an author of this book, and I'm just so excited for this release right now. In fact, the link is below for those of you who want to get a copy of this book. Tell us about what they're going to learn.
Oh, how to show up in your best skin. Let's put it that way. How to be a gracious guest.
That's genius. Like, where else do you learn about how to be a great guest?
Is that weird to say?
No, it's so good, and you are. And by the way, I've seen you go from podcast to podcast, and if you're watching right now, I'm doing with my hands an elevation of climbing up because you are. You're going from podcast to podcast, and it's amazing. You're hopping around and you're getting on bigger and bigger shows. Hello, you're on this one.
Hey.
Often number 3 on Apple's top show for education.
Yeah.
So, you're totally rocking it out, babe. Like,
Thanks.
you're doing your thing. So they're going to learn how to...
And I'm bringing us with us. This is the coolest part. I'm doing what I did 25 years ago at MTV, auditioning all the stars, just meeting people I don't even know what their capabilities are, just getting in the room with people without any judgment.
Yes.
And figuring it out in the room, building trust in the room, building community in the room. I know it's going to be successful because, these relationships I made 25, 30 years ago are still as fruitful today as they were back then. And again, the way we show up as there's some of us feel like there's not enough time. There's not enough time to have a podcast. There's not enough time to have a blog. There's not enough time to, as a guest on a podcast, I have to be honest, it's after you do all the hard work, you got to do hard work if you're going to be, you got to know how you're going to show up, what your tone is, what type of topics you're talking about, how you can support those people that are beyond your scope and services and the sales piece, right, that goes on. You get through that talent development piece, it's like liquid, it's gold, it's currency, and you own it, and I trust you, and forever we got to build something together,
beautiful.
And you can't take that away. You can sell it, but you can't take it away. I love that. That's special.
Beautiful. That's so special. Well, Vin, it's been a pleasure having you on today. I am so grateful. If you guys have enjoyed today's show as much as I have, make sure you share this with a friend. Make sure you subscribe to Success Podcast. Subscribe to the Law of Attraction Podcast. Hit the like button. Send a review. We love your reviews. If you want to review the show, it means the world. And tag me if you do, because I often shout you out here on the show or on my Instagram. I'd love to thank you personally to my millions of followers and make you the shining light of the day. So please do review it and send me that in. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning into the Law of Attraction Podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Graziano. This is your beautiful guest, Vinnie Potestivo, and we'll see you soon.